Lovely song right there.
Yeah.
That song will inspire one. You know, those young people that say that they wish they had something they could hold on to that would give them hope. They should listen to that song, but it's one thing to sing, and it's another thing for the hope to actually exist, so that they actually have something to hold on to that will keep them here, believing that in the near future, Nigeria is going to begin to go around the bend and we'll start achieving all the things that we know that we can achieve in spite of our diversity. So Nigeria is 62, the anniversary of the lowering of the Union Jack, the symbol of colonialism, on October 1, 1960. But today, many wonder if there's anything to celebrate. It is well known that for close to 7 months now, public universities have been on strike as a result of the elongated palaver between ASU and the government. Revenue has dwindled. Security is a major concern for many. Finances are dwindling. Many young men and women are saying bye-bye to Nigeria, and they're going to look for their fortunes elsewhere. But still, Nigerians hold on to hope. What are you hoping for? That is the question we'll be talking about this morning. And our guests are Dr. John Ekundayo, Leadership Development Consultant. Good morning.
Good morning.
As well as Mr. Babashola Owuaje, who's a politician. Good morning.
Good morning.
We expect a social commentator, Biodun Showumi, to join us in the course of this segment. Dr. Ekundayo, we are 62 today. You haven't lost hope, have you?
I have not. I'm just an incurable optimist.
So, what exactly are you hoping to see in the near future? Does 2023 hold any kind of, will there be any direction for us after the elections?
Well, two things, Auntie Alero. In the future, and then 2023. Let me talk about future first.
Two different things.
Yes. You see, because when you talk about future, to me as a leadership researcher, not just analyst, there are some things that have to happen or have happened before you are talking about something in the nearest future, which is 2023. Well, let me talk about the future first. And then know that there are two things basically. Number one is that it is time to learn, unlearn, and relearn leadership. Our leaders have not gotten some things right. Our forefathers meant well. The forefathers, the Sadana, Amadu Bello, Shivoba Femiolo, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Malam Aminu Kano, and the rest of them, they meant well. They were just starting. So whatever their frailties may be, we just, we celebrate them. They started well with us. Then the military interregnum came in, caution came in, and disrupted the democratic process that was going on. So in the nearest future, I'm looking forward to first the youth and the elites. These are the two people for me that I see, that can make a lot of difference. The youth, it is time for the youth to begin to ask questions, to begin to interface with leaders, interrogate our leaders. Not just, anything they give you and they are giving you peanuts now, and then you just settle with it. It is time to interface with them, to interrogate them. It is time so that what is it that they have for us in the future? And our leaders, I have to say this, they need to learn leadership. You see, because, I know part of this is something to be considered a transformational leadership. I was listening to that. You see, they need to learn about value-laden leadership. In leadership, we are talking about that. Who are servant leaders, who are transformational leaders, not just transactional leaders. Transactional leaders is, what is it for me there? And that's what many of them, we have them in the political landscape. So I'm
Okay.
looking forward to such a future. And for 2023, it's a lot in the distance, but we can talk about that one later.
We have a politician with us in the house, Mr. Babashola Uwaje. Any hope? Where are your hopes?
Thank you very much. First of all, if I wasn't hopeful, I wouldn't have gone into politics. I think we can start from there. I want to learn, what he said. From what he said, I am an incurable optimist as well. The trend now is to find your way out of the country and settle somewhere else. I'm sure we've seen, the numerous exodus. There's nobody here that doesn't have someone that has not traveled this September.
Who has not jackpot?
That has not. I was almost going to say that, but beyond that, Nigeria remains our country first and foremost. It's the blood that flows within us, regardless of wherever we go to, regardless of whatever we are going through now. I mean, immediately we started, you reeled out all of the problems we've been having, right? Some of them. It's the list is endless. But one thing we can all agree on is that we have that spirit whereby we drive through all of these problems and still remain as one country. I believe that Nigeria would not break up. I believe that for another 60 years we'll be together. I believe that very soon, and when I mean very soon, I have so much faith in the coming elections. We're not talking candidacy now, but we're talking about the atmosphere that the 2023 elections will bring in. It's almost difficult for anybody to not be aware of what we're about to encounter, in the next phase of the political space in this country. So, I mean, the hope is there, and I'm really, really believing that we're going to turn the corner.
Mr. Uwaje,
yes,
maybe I should apologize to you before asking you this question. You began by saying that if you did not have any hope, you wouldn't go into politics.
Yes.
But the general belief in Nigeria now is that if all else fails, go into politics. You're going there in the hope that you will make money for yourself. That's the general belief.
Okay.
Politics is just to go and make money. Because you become a member of the House of Representatives, for instance, you're going home with a salary of about approximately 14 million a month.
Yeah, the cost of governance is an issue, right? But let me add at this moment that I'm a business manager. I manage a pension loan platform. We're in 27 states or thereabouts in the country. I strongly believe that money is not the motivating factor. I strongly believe
for
me.
Okay.
I strongly believe that money is not the motivating factor. I have been doing this for the past 7 years. We have offices all around the country. I interface with pensioners on a daily basis, and these people are the bridge, where we can use to look back and see where we're coming from. They had good stories to tell. They always have good stories to tell. So what happened? And that was one of the reasons why I went into, I came into politics. I also studied political science, by the way, in the university. So,
unfortunately, there's a difference between political science and politics in Nigeria.
I mean,
let me ask Dr. Kundayo. Often when we have these conversations with you, always point to the followership. And do you think in the entire spectrum of this conversation, do you think the followership is ignored or not factored into the paradigm?
Well, in the democratic dispensation in which we are, I would still call Nigerian experience a nascent democracy. We are evolving, we are emerging, we are developing. Well, we are 62, but it has not been political dispensation all throughout. So I talked about the military incursion the other time.
No, it's not been democratic, but there has been politics, because there has to be, so long as you're in government, you are in some form of
yeah,
of a
I'm
leader.
building up an argument,
Okay.
Ayo. And what I want to say is that it's not just that followers are ignored, you see, but the followers have been like Kadasika, they've been laid back, especially the elites among the followers.
What do you think informed that?
Well, basically because some people think politics is dirty. Oh, politics. I remember when I was going to the university, I was told all manner of things. When you get there, don't be part of student unionism. Don't be part of this. So just face it. So people still have the mentality that, okay, politics is dirty. I don't want to touch politics. I just want to do my business.
Is
Not
it-
knowing that their own business will even be regulated by political actors.
Is it something that has to do with is it something cultural? Do you think it's something that's a product of our culture as a people, just saying yes to what the KBAC says?
Not really that, Ayo. I think in the
Ìjọba
First
sọ
Republic,
wípé.
I think in the First Republic, some of our elderly people, like my father, for instance, was actually lured to just support a political party in that time, 1960, 64, 65. I was a little baby that time. And then because he was told as a farmer, don't worry, this government, if you just, they will help you, farm input, this and that. And he was not a politician, but he just said, if that is the case.
So long as
And that was only the Akintola and Awolowo saga in the West, Wide West.
Yeah.
And
Ìjọba sọ
my
wípé-
father's house was nearly burnt. He was not a carry card politician. So that mentality, he passed that to even with the children. If not few of us that after getting education, traveling abroad, we could see some things, we were able to come out of that mentality. So there are some followers, especially the elites, that are still in that kind of sinkhole, and it is difficult for them to get that. And some of these people have a lot of dependents, people that depends on them, people that listen to them. So you can see anytime we have cycle of election, now they are saying we have about, is it 94 million voters or whatever, or 74 million voters. But at the end of the day, maybe 25 million or 30 million we vote.
Well, we've since been joined by, Biodun Showum, whom you introduced earlier, Alero. He's a social commentator. Thanks for joining us this morning.
It's my pleasure.
I know that every time we talk about Nigeria, the pain in your heart, is palpable. But this morning we want to talk about something that we can hope for. Let's offer some hope to the Nigerian. Nigeria is 62. A 62-year-old still, should I say, crawling or not going at a pace one would expect. It is painful, I can understand, but speak a measure of hope to the people. In your opinion, is there something to hope for?
Yes, there is a lot to hope for in Nigeria. We can't give up. It's the only country we have. We have to look at how to get the country to work. We have made our own mistakes in the past, and when I say that, I'm saying it by referring to the ruling class in Nigeria. In the 60s, you realize that we had a model of political arrangement which led to massive development in different parts of the country. For instance, Nigeria has the first television station before France. Many people have forgotten that we used to have tram in Lagos. We have had signs of development and things, infrastructural development, and the economy was booming up to a point that a former head of state openly boasted in 1973 that the problem that Nigeria had was not money, was how to spend it. So we came from a model we inherited from our forefathers, which brought in prosperity. There was regional development, competitive development, up to the point that if you take note of the fact that when UI was established, I think 1958 or 59,
48.
58.
48.
48. UNN Unsuka came into being immediately after, and then we had ABU, from the north after Unsuka, when they saw the benefits. So that was very healthy regional competition within the country. But for reasons best known to the military, this was abrogated. Let me fast forward so that we understand what the problem is. We now tried to look at other models of development. While we're trying to, the military tried, to look at the Chinese model, only adopted one out of the two methods employed by the Chinese. The first one is a mass-based approach to economic development, whereby everybody will be stakeholders in their own economy. The poorer areas will also be assisted through regional integration. We chose to embrace the second one, which is on poverty alleviation alone. We were trying to alleviate poverty without targeting development assistance, to the regions where there are less opportunity or they are geographically, less endowed. And therefore, we managed to create a wider gulf, within the country between regions that have and the regions that are less endowed. The same thing translated to the population in those parts of the country. To the extent that we again now saw a resurgence of ethnic politics and religious issues, creeping into the choice of political leaders in a way that it didn't happen. Not because the political parties, when we have the confederal arrangement, were not ethno-based. They were actually ethno-based. There is no way everybody identified them AG, with the western part of Nigeria, same thing, NCNC and other political parties and all that. But the fact that everybody became stakeholder, development was moving on. There was huge employment opportunities up to the point that we are importing people from India, expatriates, to come and work in our own economy. The impact of religion and ethnicity, did not distort our development, including the choice of political leaders. But if you fast track it to now, what do we have? The situation currently today is that when we tried to alleviate poverty using the military model without embracing a mass-based approach to economic development and create economic convergence, in the country, which the Chinese did, and they were able to take 800 million people out of extreme poverty. What we did actually contributed more to poverty because the elites, saw it as an opportunity also to aggrandize, wealth, without solving the major problem the country is faced. Now, fast track to today, we are faced with a situation where two major determinants. It's not the manifesto of the political parties, which is really very troubling and so worrisome. Two major issues have reoccurred, have reared their ugly head. Ethnic politics and religion. And Nigerians are being encouraged by the elites, including leaders of political parties, to focus on religion, not on capacity and experience of those political actors. In the same way, we have had people, let me actually mention an example. In the case of APC, the Kashim Shettima religious dimension to it was only meant for political purposes, to dwindle the impact of their votes, And the same thing Atiku, when you have people now saying Atiku can't stick to agreement, it can't be trusted. What is that all about? Is it about Atiku's capacity? Have you analyzed Atiku's manifesto? We have not done so. Then how did you come to that conclusion? In the same way, Rabi Kwankwanzo and Peter Obi are being, promoted as regional champions without anybody actually looking at the agenda.
Okay, so all of these, there's still a lot.
Let me talk about the hope. There's hope. Okay. The moment we need to restructure this country, the moment we restructure this country in a way that the system will throw up a leadership that will adopt a mass-based approach to our problem, while also working on rural integration, real rural integration into our economy, so that everybody becomes stakeholders. You'll be able to stem the migration from rural areas down to the urban areas. You'll be able to stem people moving from one part of the country to another part of the country, distorting their own economic blueprints, bringing us to nowhere.
But the question you want to ask around that, Mr. Shomi, is they have governors in their states. Why that would happen would be because, for whatever reason, maybe the governors didn't inspire enough hope for them to stay back home. But we'll come back to that. Well, Mr. Uwaje, young Nigerians have literally, can I use the word taken over, interests. I say this often, that what the young people of the 60s, 50s into the 60s that championed the independence had, the advantage they had over their parents was education, even though it was given by the same parents. Today, I posit that the advantage the young people have is technology, even though we can say it's their parents that created the same technology. Now, do you see a way in which the young people, because, you would know, young people who have embraced technology are taking tremendous advantage of the opportunities for themselves, economic empowerment for themselves, doing quite well for themselves and all of that. In what way do you see young people really galvanizing to use this technology to the advantage of Nigeria as an individual polity of people, as opposed to just personal selves?
Okay, so one of the advantages we have in the world today is globalization. You can sit in your house and portray and create an image, for the world to see. Young people, a lot of us nowadays are breaking barriers. If you look at the music industry, for example, I can say we are already there in terms of, global dominance. The chart is there for us to see, So what we have various platforms where we portray a lot of our productivity, a lot of our goodwill here in Nigeria, based on some certain compartments. For example, music, the entertainment industry, really. What we can really do, we're not there yet, because when you go around, most of these media spaces, most of the airwaves, you notice that young people don't really talk about, fixing Nigeria, taking politics to the next level.
What's the gap there? What do you think is responsible for that?
Orientation. The people that are speaking now have to speak more. Those of us that are, trying to make people see that, okay, this thing is possible. It may sound cliche, but it's actually our time. There's the superior knowledge through technology that we have now, that we are meant to infuse into all of this. But the orientation is not there yet.
Is there is that in your opinion a leadership gap or direction?
Yes, leadership gap, but there is also the wave. It doesn't necessarily have to be from a leadership point of view. I don't know how we can call it a national awakening. Okay. That's why I'm very optimistic about us going into 2023, because we can see it, but we're not there yet. I know if you go on social media now, there's a lot of discourse, debates about presidential candidates, and we're getting there. But we need to start having discussions based on who is your senator in your district? Do you even know your district? Who is your House of Assembly member? Who's representing you in your constituency? Are you aware that you are in constituency 1 or constituency 2? Do you even know the people running on that level?
You know your postal code.
So that is where I would be convinced that we've started that discussion, right? As much as possible, when people start talking about presidential candidates and whatnot, I mean, it's good, it's okay, but we need to come home. what is in your area? Do you even know what's going on in your area? Because you can't keep blaming the president. And
you know your councillor.
Do you even know your councillor?
your local
and that
government.
is where the problem is. Because when you start to see the caliber of people that are being put into this, I'll call them next door governance, like your neighborhood governance. When you start seeing the caliber of people there, it should make you upset. You know that, okay, I think it's time I need to step in because it's actually my immediate environment that has the issue.
And
not
this guy
Nigeria.
does not qualify.
Yes.
Or this woman does not
So we're
qualify.
looking at macro snapshots where we have, when in truth, we're meant to be talking about the micro, micro snapshots, on this discourse. So when we get there, that's when I can say we've had that orientation and, we have that national awakening.
Mr. Owoje, I'd like to stay with you because to start with, you said, this is our time. And something just clicked in my brain. Yeah, this is your time. But to get presidential forms for some party was 100 million. And to get for another party was 50 million. Where will this young man whose time you say it is find 50 million to go collect form alone? So if he gets the nomination, he still has a lot of other expenses coming, the campaign. Now we hear billboards are what, 10 million naira a toss? Where is he going to find that kind of money to actualize this time that you say it is?
Okay, you mentioned the presidency. If I can't afford, the form for the presidency, maybe I should just take it a notch lower. Rome was not built in a day. Politics in this country is very expensive. I can tell that. I can confess that firsthand. It's not
from your experience.
From my experience, it's not what it's
as they say,
saying.
it's not beans.
It's not beans at all. But we can start from somewhere. I would rather have an organic growth whereby I understand the rudiments of governance right from the grassroots. All right, I'm going for House of Assembly. I'm a candidate of PDP for the House of Assembly. I would rather start from there. It is my hope, and I believe that in the future, the cost of doing politics in this country would reduce. It's possible. What we need is leadership reorientation. Daddy mentioned something about unlearning, relearning, some of these values that we've had over time. Why would presidential form be 100 million when I want to offer myself a service?
It's because you know what you're going to get. But I'll come to you, Dr. Kudayo, but let me stay with Mr. Shomi for a bit. He spoke about something that you also hinted at, that we should drill down governance. I want to talk about the political awareness on that ladder, that lower echelon of society, if I can use that term. In your opinion, to offer that catchment, hope, we have to give them something they don't have. We have to give them something that you said they lost over time. How do we get them interested? Or should I say, for want of a better word this time, angry enough to decide to take their destiny into their hands? Because it would seem like it's been taken away from them for too long. So how do we reawaken the people in the rural areas, including those in the hinterlands, in the farmlands, in the countryside of the country, to be aware, interested, and galvanize themselves with enough political awareness and education to take decisions that can give their own children hope?
Yes, I think I agree with him that we need to focus, on the micro level rather than looking at the overall macro economy. One thing we should not forget is this. The structure we have in the country currently today is such that if you don't restructure it or replace it, it's been designed in a way that even the young people themselves will not be able to make a major impact. Let me give you a very good example. For instance, setting up a political party, you can set up young man's political party, or call it anything, with the goal to attract a lot of youths, the first problem you face is your registration with INEC, and then you now have to set up offices in different parts of the federation. We have disoriented our people. We've in fact created a major problem for ourselves. I'm sure my political friend would bear me a witness. It is difficult to go and campaign without somebody expecting you to drop something. Even the very poor people you are trying to rescue with your home program. Nobody talks about the manifesto, nobody talks about the agenda, and it's about money. We have a situation where one person went to campaign in a constituency and was telling them what he can do, with the constituency allowance. Look, you people form yourself into a cooperative, and then at least cover your drainage. I will award it to you. Whoever will do that job, will make profit. So you share the profit. They turn around, they were calling him Honorable Alankara. They were deriding him because they just don't see what is in it. They want an immediate gain. So we have created a huge problem for ourselves through the presidential system of government which we have currently. It is so expensive for anybody to, if you don't have between 35 and 50 million, forget about contesting for chairman of a local government in Nigeria today. 25 to 50 million. Forget about it. You don't stand the chance.
Of which office is this?
Chairman of a local government.
The local government that is not autonomous?
Yes. Forget about, you don't even stand the chance. If you go through the system, you know how much you part with before you even get the party nomination, particularly with the major leading political party. So when you now talk about the rural areas, forget about it. They don't even stand the chance. Those who are representing people in the rural areas are from the cities. Yeah. They do not have the first-hand experience of what they're going through.
So let's talk about the solution, Mr. Shogumi. How do we reverse that?
There's hope. There's hope in the sense that we know what the problem is. In the first instance, we know something cannot stand on nothing. This structure that we have currently, since the military brought in these quasi-federalism, or some people call it unitary system of government, we really need to go back and change that. If you don't change that so that everybody can develop in line with their own pace, you will continue to create a problem, in the sense that one area would hold down the other area, in order to develop. The example of that is when you look at what we've done with the educational system. In 1974, Jubril Aminu was the executive secretary of Nigerian University Commission. He came out with a paper titled, I still have the paper, Educational Imbalance in Nigeria, and where he was advocating for nomadic education. What they simply did when he became the Minister for Education in 1986 was to transfer the money for research in our universities to fund nomadic education. Consequently, we destroyed the university system, while at the same time nomadic education failed to fly. If you look at how much Jonathan's regime invested in nomadic education, where are we today? So instead of creating, bridging the gap between one region and the other through promoting development, what we are doing is holding down development in other areas in order to promote another region. So and that is not achieving the goal. Okay. Now, lastly, we need to take away the issue of ethnicity and religion.
But someone will have to play the lead in showing us Nigeria as opposed to my tribe. Let me come to you, Mr. Dr. Kundayo. Nigerianizing Nigeria. Is that a thing?
Nigerianizing, well, you can form it.
Because
I mean the dictionary.
Because talking about all these tribes, religion, ethnicity, and all those things, it has not gotten us anywhere. And historically, it will not get us anywhere. That is why both the first national anthem and the second national anthem talked about our diversity being the strength of our unity. How do we get there?
Mr. Waji struck a chord. And he said, okay, why looking so much at the top if I can't reach there? Let me start where I can reach. And that's, to me, is a solution. and I come back to followership. It is time, and it is high time, we went back to our roots. The polling units. I was in my home state, Ekiti State, June 18th to vote. I went with my wife. We voted in my polling unit. And it made a difference. Because there was somebody in that polling unit that was contesting House of Rep in another political party. I don't want to mention party now. But then the thing is, because I voted, I learned a lesson that day. You see, and my wife came with me. You know, when the vote was counted, despite all the money that I spent, we tie that polling unit. We tie. Now, if my wife had not, if I've not mobilized my wife, so these are things people will say votes are not counted. With the electoral act, it's counting. Now, to you youths, it is time. Tell them. Tell your other people. You see, yes. This thing pay me. I'm 61. I'm 61 now. I'm a grandfather. To the glory of God, I have 2 sons abroad. You know, that may not even come. That may not even come. No, one thing, they have come, you know, not just now. Well, part of them are citizens there. My grandsons are citizens. You see, they may not even have hope of coming to Nigeria again. Maybe to come and reside. You know, they are visiting, they are coming. You see, but youths, you have this chance. You are saying it's your time. And I agree with you. It's your time. Not really 2023 you will make that impact. I don't see it. Because you have not really organized yourself. You have not really. It's time to organize yourself. I'm not even talking about party now. You see, Mr. Ashumi was talking about, it's not easy to organize a party. Fine. That's what is called political alliance. Come together. Those of you with similar idea like this, and go to your root. Go to your ward. Go to your polling units. Whether YPP, APC, PDP, a Labour Party, join. Those of you are graduates, instead of riding Okada and all these things around about, or participating in Yahoo and Yahoo Plus and whatever, go there, meet with them, and you said something, which I've also seen, because I went with them. When you get to your ward level, you see the people, the ward chairmen, the ward secretaries, you will shake your head. The caliber of people there, the educational background, their pedigree. And then we begin to speak grammar in the cities. And our villages, our hometowns are lagging. And we are talking about development. That's where it starts from. So that you begin to influence who become your councillor, who become your chairman, who become your House of Assembly member. And the politicians will know these people have come. It's either they negotiate with you. We will get there. So you youth will get there small, step by step. It's not in a day. And I love your angle of thinking, your perspective. You see, because by the time they see you coming together, they are afraid. And one thing they will do is they will negotiate with you. I'm a followership scholar. They will negotiate with you. And in negotiating, you will tell them, we want 4 commissioners. We want so and so. Okay, we'll give you. But will you do this or? And you are coming to the system. Because if you don't come into the system, you cannot change the system.
Sure. Mr. Shomi,
that's where I will stop.
Suppose we found, this is just hypothesis. Suppose we found an Ngozi Waziri, who is an atheist. And he has a huge followership.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
This is really diverse.
Yes, we're talking religion and ethnicity. Mm-hmm. He is Ngozi Waziri. He
is Ngozi Waziri.
Okay. And he's an atheist. And he has a huge followership because he's a young, energetic man. What happens to religion? What happens to ethnicity? This one is neither Yoruba, nor Igbo, nor Hausa.
No Christian,
neither Muslim nor Christian. No Christian. He believes in some god in his bedroom. What happens?
Well, to understand what would happen to him, you need to look at our own traditional religion institution. Mm-hmm. Christianity and Islam came in, they were alien to us.
Yes.
And then our own traditional religion allowed for the flourishing of ideas and beliefs, spiritual beliefs. And that is how they managed to come in. But today, nobody is even thinking about traditional religion. You have Christian pilgrimage board, Muslim pilgrimage board. What about traditional religion?
Oh.
You have Christmas, you have Ileya, or what do they call the Muslim thing. What about Isheshe Day for tradition? That is our own. So forget even about these atheists, because they don't stand a chance. When the debates occur, if you look at the way we're going about the debates on religion, currently, you realize that it's the Christians, pitching tent against the Muslims,
Yes.
or the Muslims against the Christian. The vast majority of our people, you will be shocked, are either traditional believers or they believe in Christianity and Islam with traditional religion. And nobody is actually talking about that. So we need to downplay the role of religion. It should be about capacity, your experience,
Ideas.
your proven track record. Where is your agenda, your manifesto? How would it impact on the people? Rather than talking about this one is Muslim. Where will it lead us? If you go into history, since when we've started, we've always been having Christian, Muslim. Where has it led us till today? Till today, is that religion and ethnicity are the bane of our development. It's not even corruption. The whole of New York was built on corruption. In Israel, 3 or 4 prime ministers have been jailed for corruption. Italy is one of the most gangsteristic economy in the whole world, when it comes to corruption. Go to Japan, there's corruption in Japan. Why is it that it has not stifled their development? It is because we mixed corruption with ethnicity and religion.
Well, here we are. We have about 5 minutes
winding down.
to begin to wind down. So let me come back to you, Dr. Kundayo. Speaking to solutions now. So this is where we are. This is where we find ourselves as a people. And you have talked about the need for the followership to do something. But then part of what you said earlier brought a question to my mind. The question of how the laws can encourage or strengthen the followership to do the needful for themselves and for the future. Do you think we have enough laws, rather? Are the laws tuned in the direction of the people or in the direction of the people who they employed? Because while we were speaking earlier, we give some people jobs to do, and they use the instrumentality of the jobs we give them to skew things in a particular direction, in the direction of the people who will occupy that office. So once they get there, they tinker with things for themselves that will work against them when they leave office. So how do we reverse that trend?
Mr. Shuwe mentioned something, and that's about, looking back, in my column that will come out tomorrow, talking about this issue. I remember when I was leaving my interland, coming to the city of Ibadan as the capital of Western State then. And I remember, in the vehicle, the lush greenery of the atmosphere, the roads were tarred. In 1972, January, I still remember precisely. How many years now? Maybe about 50 years. Yeah, 50 years now. You see, the regions, coming back to what you said, sir. And I remember that time, we didn't have anything about all this idea, this electricity, something, disco, whatever. It used to be ECN, sir, if you can remember, sir. And the lights, it's not that when light will go off, you will know. And then within 30 minutes, 1 hour is back. Water was running the tap in Ibadan city that time. And you see, because we have each region, like that, developing at the pace that needs to. We need to go back to restructuring. It is high time, and I'm happy that governors in the northern region could come together and say, it's time, we should have state police. We can see it now. Okay. We have been talking about that in the south, but it's like,
everyone is talking about it.
Like
now.
what he said. He said one region should not hold down another region. So it's time for us restructuring. It should be key. The youth, you should be up. That's part of the thing.
I'll come to the youth now.
Anybody that doesn't have that on the agenda.
What will you be saying to young people as well now in terms of what to do going forward? Please, let's do beyond 2023 for God's sake.
Well, the message is get involved. When I joined PDP, a man told me something. He said a lot of people say that this party is bad, that party is bad. But if you have a particular ideology, why can't you influence about 5,000 of you with the same ideology and join that political party that is bad?
Things will change.
Things will change.
Okay.
So what we need to do going forward from the 1st of October 2022 is to get involved.
Sasha Omi. expand?
Yes, what we need to do, in my view, is one, young people need to embrace politics. They need to be fully involved, but they must reject the idea of ethnic or religious politics. They cannot be the determinant factors, in elections. And if we allow that to happen, unfortunately, we're not going to make any progress.
Thank you.
Hope 2023. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Dr. John Ekundayo, Leadership Development Consultant, Mr. Biodun Shomi, a social commentator, and Mr. Babashola Owaje, who is a politician. He's a young man, but he's in politics, and he has enjoined you, young people, to get involved. And to buttress that, I will tell you something that the late Mr. Nosode told me when he said he wanted to be the president of Nigeria. I actually left my house in Ikeja and drove to his house because he was my pastor at the time. And I said, how can you get involved in this dirty game? And he said to me, have you seen anybody who ever wanted to clean a house and was able to clean it by standing outside? To clean a house, you have to enter the house.
I love that.
Let's drill it down.
So that is what I would say to young people
Clean the
today.
plates. Your
To
hands
clean
have
up
to be dirty.
anything, you have to get your hands dirty. You have to be in it to be able to clean it.
That's right.
Thank you very much. Once again, happy Independence Day. We'll be right back with another interesting conversation. Please stay with us.